page, Consulting Charlie. If you have not done so, please make sure you hit that subscribe button at the bottom here. Today we're going to talk about credit lines and credit limits and how credit limits affect your credit score. As you guys may know, credit limits and utilization pretty much go hand in hand because it's directly tied into your utilization, which is on your credit report. And utilization counts for 30% of your credit score. If you have been following me, or if you follow my little movement, you will know I always talk about utilization because it is very important. It's a very important component of credit. Actually, it counts for 30% of your score. So if you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit and you're using $3,000 of that limit, then you are essentially, your utilization ratio is 30%. That's to give you an example. However, another caveat to that is that if you have high limit credit cards or even low limit credit cards and you're maxing out those cards, you, my friend, have become a high risk individual to the lenders and to the banks, which in turn means that they may be very apt to give you money because you are overusing the money that they're giving you. Yeah, so people say, well, dang, they gave me the money, so why are they penalizing me for it? Because this is how the banks gauge how you are responsible when it comes to balancing out your lines of credit. Now, something I will say that could help you is that if you were to get a credit limit increase, it could bring down your overall utilization. Or something else that individuals may have heard me talk about is adding trade lines to your credit, which will in turn help with the utilization as well when you're trying to keep your overall utilization down on your credit report. So one thing, well, just to jump back a little bit, let's talk about also, so people say, well, what's the difference between credit repair and adding a trade line? They kind of go hand in hand if you really want to think about it. Credit repair is removing information from the report, where a trade line is adding information to the report. Sometimes credit repair alone is not enough to get you where you need to be in your credit. So say for instance you start out low fives, you go in and you pay a company and they remove all of the negative, derogatory, inaccurate items from your credit report. So after doing that, you only get yourself to they get you to buy maybe like a 650. It may take adding trade lines to push you over that hump, but the trade lines need to have a strategy to it, meaning high limit, season. Sometimes it's not always the limit, it's more so the age, which plays into the factor because age counts for 15% of your credit report. Of your credit score. So if you get something that has about 3 to 10 years in age and then it has a high limit as well, that should get you the extra 50 points that you need to get you over that hump and get you into the 700 club. That may not always happen, but it is a good little tactic or trick that you can use that can kind of get you somewhat over that hump to meet your credit goals. But back to credit limits. When we're talking about if you're trying to get a credit limit increase from your bank, something you want to consider. So the question is, when is a good time to apply for a credit limit increase? When you don't have that many inquiries, for one, because banks do look at the amount of credit that you're applying for. 2 is if you can show that you have been responsible with that particular account for at least 3 to 6 months. Some banks, they want you to wait till after the 91st day, meaning once that third statement on that account has been posted, they'll go in and they'll review the account to see if you are good for a credit limit increase. Some banks want you to wait 6 months. It depends on your lender. Another thing is also to take into account is your score. Some of them also look at the scores, and some banks are a little bit more conservative and they look at your debt to income ratio, not just your utilization ratio. So it's a lot of different components, a lot of different things to keep up with when you're trying to see, can you get more limits, or you can squeeze the banks for more money. So those are some things that you want to take a look into as well. Another thing is sometimes they may require you to do a hard inquiry once they pull the credit to see if they're going to give you the increase. Now, not all banks do that. Sometimes you can talk to the representative on the phone and they will just do a soft inquiry, but sometimes that's not the case. They want to go in, do a hard pull, look at everything that's on the score, and then they'll make a determination, sometimes instantly, or they will send you a letter in the mail within 7 to 10 business days to let you know what they're going to do. Something you guys also need to understand is that, on the other hand, when you have credit lines and you don't really use those credit lines and they're stagnant for long periods of time, the banks can also go in and close those lines or reduce them, because they'll say, hey, you're not using the money, we might as well take it back and go give it to somebody else. Now, I don't know if they're saying that, but I'm just making that up, but that could be something that they're saying. So those are things that you want to take into account when we're talking about credit limits. But if you have, say for instance, high utilization and you're trying to bring the overall utilization down, I would say you might want to consider adding a seasoned high limit trade line. So I have a client that has about $200,000 in lines of credit, but she's utilizing about $75,000 of that. She's trying to bring down her utilization. So we added like a $35,000 seasoned trade line to the report, so it can bring down her utilization overall. Now, it won't bring down the utilization for each individual line, but the overall utilization ratio will come down, which will probably help her to get whatever loans or other lines of credit that she's trying to get access to. So those are some things that you want to consider when you're thinking about getting the credit limit